Mike Murray.
This is SNL.
SNL
By the numbers.
Numbers.
Goo goo for Gosling. This haiku has changed since dress. A sign of the times. There's the opening haiku for you. I'm your host, Mike Murray, and this is SNL By The Numbers, the home of SNL stats. Tonight we're covering episode 1002 of Saturday Night Live with four-time host Ryan Gosling and musical guest Gorillaz. This podcast is a presentation of LateNighter.com. When you need somebody, you throw up the Bill signal. Bill Kenney with me. It's like the old days. Here we are. Welcome back, Bill. What's going on?
Mike, so good to see you. I feel like it's been like forever since we got to talk. You've had a life-changing moment. I had a life-changing moment. You know, not the same, obviously, but glad to be back with you, man. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Tell us about your life-changing moment. I talked about mine last week on the program.
I just pointed to it. It's very insignificant compared to yours. Dodgers winning the World Series, so.
Okay. Oh, does that not happen yet? I guess we talked after the Amy Poehler episode, so that was early. That was in October. I forget where we were in the playoffs at that point. So it's probably right before it. Yeah. So congrats to you.
More congrats to you, sir.
So yeah, that means 2 World Series for Bill, 2 kids for me since the podcast has started. So we
right.
both have things to appreciate. But anyway, yeah, let's just get into it. So since it's been a while, you're somebody who's been watching SNL since what season live?
12.
Okay, since season 12, we're now in 51. We're now 14 episodes into 51. If you had the below average seasons, the above average seasons, and then the average season, what column does this fall into so far for you?
You know, I know our vibe, Mike, and I had a feeling. You didn't tell me this ahead of time that you were going to ask.
I did not.
I had this in my head today. I was kind of thinking about this since it has been so long since we talked. You know, we're still 6 episodes out, so anything can happen. You know, we can get another Teyana Taylor, but I think we're probably talking top 20 of all time. So yes, above average, probably the best since early 40s. Overall, from top to bottom. I think we've only had 2 bad episodes or mediocre episodes. And, you know, all the other ones have really been bangers, like nothing really to complain about. A lot of hardest, you know, everybody getting their chance at the ring. So, yeah, I've really been enjoying this season a lot more than a lot of the recent seasons, I should say.
You know, the state of the world withstanding going into 46 when we were, just infancy, nascent podcast on the SNL streets. This one had the most question marks coming in, and I feel like they've answered those questions. Maybe there's still some hanging out there about some casting in the future, especially after Bowen Yang leaving. But this has been the most wide open season we've ever covered, especially with the rookies. The percentage of the cast that the rookies take up already gives them opportunities that we didn't see in the 45, 46, 47 era. And now let's look at what the screen time is for the Gosling episode. We had Gosling up top, of course, 22 minutes, 48 seconds in 7 appearances. Had one of the longest monologues we've seen in a while. So the stat I was referring to was that this is the longest non-stand-up monologue that we've seen since season 49. Who hosted that episode but Ryan Gosling as well. So they really milk these monologues. We can talk about the sketch breaking and the extension of time for those, but the monologue itself is long for Gosling. He had it's over 6.5 minutes in a 7.5 minute monologue. We'll talk about who took up some of the other time from him in that monologue. Ashley Padilla leading the cast, 3rd time of her career, 3rd time of the season. Just racked up 2 huge sketch moments. We'll talk about those. Passing notes, 5 minutes 20 in the Cyclops sketch, 4:14. So that's right there in one night, 2 of her longest sketch appearances of her career, just in a single night, and is increased her leads. You know, it was really neck and neck with Jost for a while, but she's now at 1 hour, 42 minutes, 59 seconds. So we're talking about 14 episodes in. So you do the math on that one, but that's 14 minutes ahead of Jost. And in appearances, 71 already. It was on pace for 100 appearances in the season, exactly after last week's Connor Story episode. Now is exceeded that with 5 appearances this week. So she's on pace for over 100, and she's 10 ahead of Sarah Sherman at 61. So Ashley Padilla just breaking all the records for a featured player, but that's nothing new. Mikey Day in the 2 spot for the cast, 6 appearances for him, 10 minutes 40. So this is his 8th best episode in 8 years in terms of screen time. His only really a better one recently was the Chalamet one when he did double duty, because we had Mikey Day as Jesus in the cold open for a really long time. And, he played half the duo of Beavis and Butthead last time Gosling was here. So I guess that translated, Bill. What do you think about the synergy of Mikey Day Gosling?
It's a very interesting dynamic with the two of them, right? Like we've seen, it's hard to kind of put into context other hosts that have vibed so much with another cast member on a recurring basis. But yeah, you definitely saw that a lot this past Saturday night with a couple of different sketches, including the Goo Goo Man that you referenced in your haiku. So yeah, I mean, these are two guys who clearly like each other. Gave him the big smooch during the monologue, and it's great to see that kind of dynamic with two people when a host comes in.
And we talk about this a lot, Bill, on this show and others, about when hosts come back in other eras. It's fun to see them interact with, a new crop of rookies and see how they interact with maybe a vet on their way out in their first time. They come back a couple years later and the cast could be completely different. So seeing a vet like Mikey Day, who's been there, and having this blossom now, I think is just really fun for the show, for the cast. And I think Mikey Day and Ryan Gosling are kind of like forever bonded over the Beavis and Butthead. But the Goo Goo Man's sketch, of course, they played off each other really well. And the monologue kiss was something, was the clue of what was to come, because then we saw the wedding tradition sketch first of the night where, it was really Mikey and Sarah playing off Gosling there. Speaking of Sarah, 8 minutes, 6 seconds. So hit an important milestone in the Goo Goo Man sketch, 300 appearances for Sarah. She appeared in the first 4 segments of the night, so cold open, monologue, and first 2 pieces. This is capping off her best 3-episode stretch of her career. So Sarah Sherman never been hotter than right now. And interesting because it came off her worst 3 episodes, averaging only a minute 51 with Tiana Taylor, Finn Wolfhard, and Ariana Grande going backwards. So now Gosling, Story, and Skarsgård averaging 9:15 an episode right there, Bill. What do you think about Sarah Sherman lately?
Yeah, it's been an up and down season for her, but she's really taken the reins. Obviously, Ashley is the leader of the female pack by a mile, as you referenced. But Sarah's holding her own for sure. And there was some concern at the beginning of the year what Sarah was going to do. And like you said, with those couple of episodes, where was she? We didn't see very much of her. And to see her come in and do what she did in this episode was very heartening. I love Sarah.
Yeah, I love to see it. It's just, this has been a female season of SNL. That's been kind of the refrain on By the Numbers, is going in, seeing how few women there were, and now seeing the women at the top of the charts all the time. And not just because of usage, because of the lack of, people to tap for these roles, but they've been dominating in these roles and having long appearances and frequent appearances. Colin Jost, this is an interesting stat line, Bill. If you can think of one, please let me know. To appear in the first segment of the night, which of course is the cold open, he played Hegseth. This is Colin Jost doing his job and update. And then in the 10-1, the Martin Hurley Heat pre-tape. So 7 minutes, 52 seconds for Jost, his first 3 appearance night of his career, 13 seasons in. What a stat line. Talk about like a kind of a scoregami of SNL.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, like it's a nice little sandwich looking thing that Jost has got going on there with the weekend update as the meat in the middle of the bread. It's very interesting what we've seen with Jost this year. You've talked about it a lot. We haven't seen anybody like this since Polar, really. I mean, as far as weekend update anchors who are in sketches. He obviously is playing a very specific role, but also getting him in the Hurley piece in such a prominent part is very interesting to see, especially this late in his career. As you said, 13 years in. Where was this before? Why wasn't he doing stuff like this? We'd catch him when he was a writer. He'd be in a Lonely Island sketch, but nothing to this extent. So it's very fun to see. he's found his niche with Pete Hegseth.
And his blossoming, which we've been saying about Kenan Thompson forever, into this elder statesman of SNL, where he can be this punching bag to like all the kids. Where Kenan always kind of retained, Kenan got that baby face, since all that, like we talked about in the Chalamet episode a long time ago. Where Jost never felt that way, maybe because he's always wearing a suit and tie. He's a writer. He's not like one of the gang, but to have him appear in like the PDD shorts a couple times, and now with Martin's piece there at the end, where he's literally, becoming Colin Jost. Did it make you think of the Lonely Island when Jane pulled out the gun and did not know which Jost was the real one, or did it give you Dear Sister vibes with Shia LaBeouf?
I actually went to my Family Guy library in my head with that one, where Peter gets shot by Lois in an early episode when she can't tell which one is the real Peter. But yeah, that's a great comparison too.
So after Colin Jost is Kenan Thompson. Great night for him. 7 minutes, 6 seconds. I thought, this is my headline. This is not the Hot Take Show. If I were on the Hot Take Show, I would say this is one of the best Kenan nights I have seen in years. His stat wise was great. 7 minutes, 6 seconds, 5 appearances. But I thought every role he was in was a role that I didn't have a single thought of this could have gone to somebody else. I thought it was just perfect Kenan casting. What do you think, Bill?
Yeah, Kenan really, again, another up and down season, even though he's kind of middle of the pack when we get to the power rankings later on. But, it's very interesting to see. He seems to pick and choose which episodes he's going to, dominate. I think that's kind of what he's earned being there for 23 years. Not saying that he's going up to Lauren and saying, I want to be in a lot this week. But, when these recurring hosts like Gosling come in, he wants to be a big part of it, it feels like. So, great on him. And yeah, those roles could not have gone to anybody else for sure.
Kenan Thompson does not sleep at 8H. He waits. So I think he just is ready for anything. We've been saying that for years. What's he still doing in the cast? This is why he's here. Especially that janitor role in the bakery pre-tape was so great.
Oh, good.
And even him coming in the Google Man as the manager, and he was the old man who fell by the pool, was a great hook. So I just love to see what Kenan was doing this week. Veronika Slawikowska, who led the cast in screen time in the story episode, which was the first time a rookie had done that since Marcelo Hernandez in the Jenna Ortega week, his rookie year. And before that was James Austin Johnson's very first week, Owen Wilson, season 47 premiere. So back-to-back weeks for her is great. 6 minutes 42 this week in 4 appearances. Huge one in that Cyclops sketch, which we will talk about a little later. But she made her 50th appearance of the season at the end there in the Hurley film. And next up, we had Gorillaz on SNL for the first time, celebrating 25 years of their debut album by playing Clint Eastwood. So what do you remember about Gorillaz, Bill? Were you into them in the early aughts there?
I was, and I didn't know we could bring props, Mike. So thanks for the heads up. But
props are welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. When they started playing Clint Eastwood, I was so happy because it was just, I think John said on the Hot Take Show, like it's one of those moments, like when Aerosmith came on 15 years after SNL had debuted. They had never been on the show, having them come on, and they didn't do any of their classic songs the first time. I love getting to hear a classic song, especially from someone that we have not seen. Having one of the oldest people in the history of SNL appear in one of their musical acts was really nice to see as well. Yeah, I loved Gorillaz back in the day and still do.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to his screen time in a second, but the rap verses on Clint Eastwood, that was just like in my DNA as a kid. I still know all the words. I was so happy to see him pop out. But next up is Michael Che, 358 on Update. Speaking of Kenan, we didn't even mention he finally made it back on Update, almost a year to the day since he played Kendrick Perkins last season. So it had been this whole season so far without Kenan on Update or Jad, who we're gonna talk about too. But Michael Che, 358. So he did, have more screen time and Update, but Colin Jost still beat him, Bill. That damn Colin Jost.
That's crazy, like so crazy. When I saw that no correspondence had gone to Jost, but knowing that he had obviously already just done the cold open and he was just gonna bash Che this week again. Yeah, crazy. Why is Che always lower than Jost, Mike? Can you tell me?
People are wondering. So Del, the funky Homo sapien, he's the rapper in Clint Eastwood. So just so great. I love when they sometimes you get, especially with hip hop, when they have guest verses. You know, they're not going to get the pop singer to sing the hook. You know, they're not going to get Rihanna to come in for Eminem or something like that. You know, we had like Skylar Grey do that part, I think, back in that album for Recovery when Eminem was back. So when you get the actual artist 25 years later, that song came out, Bill, March 5th, 2001. So on March 7th, 2026, to get Damon Albarn from, Gorillaz, really is the true face of Gorillaz with the original artist, also known as Sir DZL, 358 for him as well. James Austin Johnson, 4 appearances, only the third week of the 14 we saw no Trump. So he had 3 minutes, 11 seconds and was, I just thought was great everywhere. Popped up in the monologue with the cast a little bit and then was in that bakery sketch as well, the pre-tape. 311, 4 appearances for him. As Bill mentioned, one of the oldest guests in SNL history put up a graphic about it, over 80 cameos in SNL. This is Asha Puthli, who had 257 in that second appearance. Black Thought from The Roots, 227 in that same performance from Gorillaz' new album. Jane Wickline, 4 appearances, 2 minutes, 15 seconds for her. Chloe Fineman is back in the building, 2 minutes, 2. So one of the lowest, I think it was the lowest Chloe Fineman week of the season so far, not including her absence last week. And, really was just in that pre-tape and a little bit in the monologue. But this will be, by the season finale, I looked this up, Bill, Chloe Fineman will tie Ego Odom to the day for 8th longest tenure among female cast in SNL history. I got to get your take on that.
Well, yeah, I said if Sarah's having an up and down season, Chloe's kind of having that too, where we thought she'd kind of take the reins with all of the vacuum of power, if you will, of the female cast members that left. And, obviously Ashley has filled that vacuum in a huge way. Chloe's had some good episodes, but 2 weeks in a row, obviously the absence, you guys talked about it last week, kind of crazy, being let to go do an art show or whatever the hell it was. And, to come back and not really have a lot to do the following week is a little bananas to me.
Yeah, 528 is her season average. So best season in Chloe Fineman history for sure. But yeah, this was definitely the lowest one. So 3 small appearances, 2 minutes, 2. Anushka Shankar. So on the sitar, we not only got a melodica in the first performance, we got a sitar in the second. So 151 for her in that performance with Gorillaz. Martin Hurley, a minute 43 in the 10-1 pre-tape. Harry Styles, a minute 42. So Martin Hurley, just 1 second more than Harry Styles. People were wondering. In his monologue crashing appearance. Jeremy Culhane, 5 appearances, a minute 10. Cam Patterson, 3, a minute 8. Marcelo Hernandez, had to wait a while to see him. He wasn't until that passing notes sketch he appeared in, and then he appeared as himself in that Hurley pre-tape. So only a minute 6 for Marcelo. Ben Marshall, 2 appearances, 57 seconds. Tommy Brennan, 54 seconds and 3 appearances. And Andrew Dismukes at the bottom of the cast list, Bill, 35 seconds. What's going on with our boy AD?
Yeah, you thought this would be kind of a big week for him. He had that huge moment the last time Gosling was on with the engagement.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, other than the reporter in the cold open, like what else, was that his own? No, he had one other appearance. What was his other appearance? I'm blanking.
For Dismukes?
Yeah.
Yeah, where else was Dismukes that night?
But yeah, it's really kind of crazy to think about how low he is here and behind all of these rookies who a couple who are really struggling. Are we going to?
He was in the wedding sketch with Chloe. So
yeah,
that was the other Chloe appearance I was looking for too. I guess I forgot because Domingo didn't pop out and scare us. Chloe and Dismukes were at a table at a wedding together. That was the other one. So yeah, 35 seconds, crazy because I was saying over and over week to week, Bill, on this show that he was like the only guy who was hitting 4 minutes every week. And now he hit his 7-hour career milestone last week and now had his quietest episode in over 50 episodes. The last time we saw less Dismukes was the first Bad Bunny episode, October of 23, where he had 4 seconds. A memorable 4 seconds, though. It was in that inventing Spanish or the, that really like like ancient looking sketch where he popped in as like the friar for 4 seconds. That was the only Dismukes we saw. So lowest 2-episode average in over a year for Dismukes with Connor Story's episode and now Gosling's episode. So really rare to see a veteran at the bottom at all, especially Dismukes though. We have all these rookies and a couple featured players still in their second year, and Dismukes at the bottom with 35 seconds. Then Steve Higgins, 11 seconds of voice work. We had Camera 2, I Heart Harry, Anthony Tarantino, cameraman for SNL Crew, 7 seconds for him, and Jenna Rosatano. Great to see Jenna, always handing the microphone to the host. So, Bill, what do you think about the episode overall before we move on? And anyone you want to highlight?
Yeah, I enjoyed this episode a lot. I think this was, kind of a mixed bag. There was only one sketch I really didn't love, and it was the Monty, the candy sketch. Although rewatching it, I enjoyed it a little bit more. Tell
me about that sketch. Why did Bill Kenney not like the Willy Wonka parody in 2026?
Well, what's missing from a good sketch, Mike? Escalation. And I don't think we got that after the reveal of the Tweedledum or Dee Doo or whatever hanging from the ceiling.
ODDs.
There you go. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot after that. It was kind of obvious where they were going to go, although I did enjoy the parents and the children not giving in to Gosling, kind of goading them into other stuff like, oh no, we're going to go over here. Look, Chloe kind of shined in this moment with what she's like, no, what are you talking about? And then, as you said, Kenan really coming in great as the janitor and talking about how do you not know about their mating rituals and the fact that the males kill themselves,
their culture and their religion.
Yeah. But I think Gosling was great in this. I think the sketch itself was the problem. I think him in this kind of role where he doesn't have a chance to break, he really does shine in moments like that.
Yeah, we'll talk about what you did enjoy, but I think I loved that his course correction after the horrible reveal was, we're gonna move the tour to the loading dock.
The loading dock. Yeah.
Let's go over there. Yeah. So what did you like from this episode? And we'll talk about Gosling a little bit.
Well, I mean, passing notes is the highlight, and just I don't want to get too Tim Kirkchin on you, Mike, but like, this is why we tune in every week. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. It's live TV. I sat up straight in the chair when they put that graphic on, because that's not anything I've ever seen in 1,001 episodes before this, where they reveal something like this. And to not really know where they were going to go with that until kind of the first note. And then, oh, okay, they don't know what's going on. Ashley doesn't know what's going on. Ryan doesn't know what's going on. That was so great. Like, just to get something fresh after 51 years, that's not easy to do. We come after SNL a little bit sometimes with, oh, you're doing another game show, you're doing another restaurant, but to have kind of this really fresh idea was the highlight of my night by a country mile.
All right, we're definitely going to talk about that sketch later on, but let's talk about Ryan Gosling coming back. I figured it would be good. There's been a lot of episodes, Bill, since I guess we've been podcasting a while, which is, great for us and the listeners that want to keep hearing us. But there's been a lot of people that have come back even since the SNL stats era, I call it. I've been doing the stats since season 43. I will work my way back eventually, but looking at all the hosts I have data on and how many repeats, including like all the Mulaney's, couple debuts and returns, some that hadn't come back for a long time, like a Chris Rock. Woody Harrelson came back twice in that era after not being on there for a while. And Scarlett Johansson hosting for her 6th time in 2019, her 7th time last season's finale. So looking at what the change in screen time is, I thought that, is there an average somewhere? Like, do people usually have more screen time the more they host? Does it level off? So, more data is better, but we, got a good amount of episodes here. On this chart, Bill, I have, who hosted and when, what number hosting appearance was it for them? Was it their 2nd or their 5th or whatever? How many years it had been since they last hosted, and then what their screen time was. As always, I break out the musical performances to level up the double duties and see how much it changed. So let's look at Gosling, first of all, because he's the man of the hour. Went down 12% from last time. So he had 25.46 in season 49, 22.39 this week. So that's not including the intros of the music. Down 12%. And I found out on average people go up 10%. So I want to ask you, Bill, before we dive too deep in the data, would you expect if someone is hosting and they're asked back, first of all, it probably was a decent episode or they did well on it, correct?
Yes, mostly.
Mostly.
One name comes to mind that might not be in modern times, but
please
yeah.
spill. Tell the chat.
I think Bad Bunny. I think he had a mediocre first episode and a mediocre second episode. Obviously, he's a global icon. That was more about getting 1 billion eyes on the show as opposed to, oh, he's a really good sketch performer.
Let's look at Bad Bunny, too. I actually thought Bad Bunny's first one I really liked. His second one I really didn't like. So big difference there. But in his screen time, he did have... Oh, we got some sirens, Bill. Danger Watch. Okay, so 20 minutes 52 seconds for Bad Bunny in 49 and 1932 without double duty was the first time. He went down 6% as well. So I don't know, maybe I should do some research on it. Is we're getting more cast average up and hosts going down, especially these recent ones, because some make sense, like a Chris Rock in season 46, premiere of the COVID season, wicked low screen time, went up 65%. When he came back in 50. Ariana Grande, though, went down this season. So from 22 minutes in season 50 to 20 minutes, 44 seconds in 51. So she went down 7%. So we're seeing this kind of trend right now of these returning hosts having a little bit of a diminished screen time there. So, but I wanted to also look at the ones that are not in their second, third, fourth. Like look at 1 to 2, like a Quinta Brunson or a Nate Bargatze, who are two of the recent hosts I could think of that have been brought back that I think had really like stellar first episodes. So Nate Bargatze, 21-22 screen time in 49. He went up almost 20% his second time, up to 25-35. Quinta Brunson, same thing. 15 minutes, 49 seconds, really low host screen time, but made such a great impression. It was such an easy choice to bring back. And Quinta went up to 21-12 in season 50, so up 34%. So we're seeing maybe a episode 1 to 2 leap, but maybe a leveling off when you've already been there for a bit. What's your take on that, Bill?
I can't wait to read the book that you write about this, Mike, because this is... Yeah, the correlation is very interesting. Like, obviously, you're going to reach a point if you host a third or a fourth or a fifth time. There's only so far you can go up, right? I mean, you're not going to get 40 minutes of screen time on your fifth time. But yeah, I mean, I think the first to second is an interesting one to look at because there's obviously more trust. You might not know what you're getting with a Quinta or even a Nate. Like, I think we were high on Nate coming in that first time, but a lot of people didn't know who he was outside of the comedy world. And, you kind of want to give them a little bit more leash when you have them coming back for a second time. But yeah, I mean, at some point it has to plateau. And I think that kind of bears out here.
Another one I'm seeing too is Maya Rudolph in 46. So I did, do a quick COVID disclaimer for 46, but her screen time was massive, almost 26 minutes. When she came back 3 years later, down 18%. So there's someone hosting their second time versus their third. Miles Teller is an example, though, on the other end. So I got to cover everything. 26 minutes, 9 seconds in 48 for him, down 27% to 19 minutes, 9 seconds. Second time. And he did appear in both cold opens. So much bigger cold open in 48 with the Manning cast than the New York City mayoral debate when he played Cuomo. So, there was some time there for sure as Peyton Manning that really inflated that debut screen time. But that's one that went down. And Chalamet, he's now hosted 3 times in the SNL stats era, 15 minutes, 13 seconds in 46, up 50% to 22:48 in 49. Season 49's episode, and then he did this similar drop-off, Bill, down 25% last year in January. So there's another example of a third one right there. And then we don't have to talk about Woody Harrelson because we know why his screen time was so big the third time, or the fifth time, sorry.
Well, and Chalamet, you're showing this number without the musical performances, so he probably had to go prepare becoming Bob Dylan, so he had to cut out some of his sketch work.
Yeah, he was tangled up in blue all week long. There we
Yes,
go.
sir. Yes.
And just because it's fun, we have so much data on it. Let's look at Mulaney before we move on. So he started in season 43 as a host, 20 minutes almost even right there. Went up 11% to a season 44 because he did host, year after year after year. So up to 22 minutes, went up 11%. Then he went up to 24 minutes, up another 10%. Then that season 46 episode, which is kind of notorious now, would we say, about maybe the state of his life at the time, went down 10%. But I will say it was, election cycle, long cold opens. Up to 27, almost 28 minutes. Another Millennium Musical happened, 26% increase to 47, and then an almost identical drop, Bill, in 50 down to 2028. So I don't know if we can make heads or tails of this, but there's definitely a thread I'm pulling at right now.
I'm getting vertigo looking at his numbers, Mike. Like, this is wow. Yeah, I mean, 46 is such an outlier, and it's fun to think about that season, as you said, as Lauren also calls it, the SNL stat era. But it's crazy to think, like, okay, yeah, he was having that moment where he was struggling a lot with his life. I hope this drop off the last time doesn't mean the same thing.
Oh no, I think maybe we could look at that episode maybe more in depth. That was also in an election year. That was early season 50. That was the Kamala Harris episode, I believe. That was with him and Chappell Roan.
Yeah, so there was a lot going on with the long cold opens, and that probably had some effect.
All right, Bill. So since you're with me, should we do it? It's late in the year. We have the siren going.
Let's do it.
All right. So I have to, I can't table this discussion any longer. I use the cop out when it's the fall. It's too early for Danger Watch. We can't do it. But we have a big rookie class. The rookies are getting more opportunities than ever. Let's take a peek at Danger Watch, Bill. So I thought there'd be a couple ways to sort through this. Let's be fair. The current rookies, they've only had 14 episodes, not a complete season. So, of course, here's my first 14 episode screen time average and what their final ended up being for those who have finished their rookie year. And did it change? Because I think you would call this the home stretch, right? We got 6 episodes left.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're on the back 9.
So if you were a cast member, Bill, and I said that you were on Danger Watch, what would be your first thing you want to do with Harry Styles week or the next run?
Oh, I'd be writing my ass off. I'd be going up to every writer and saying, and every cast member that I knew was going to get screen time, and be like, listen, can you put me in your sketch? Do they still do that? Like, do they still walk up to people and say that? There's so much collab going on these days with writers and cast members that it's hard to say. But yeah, I would think you'd really kind of want to put your foot on the gas and hope that you can get to these last 6, because it's kind of important. Even if you've been having a good year, you still got 6 to go. You got to finish strong.
6 to go. And we're going to look at how that shook out. So you can see someone like a Sarah Sherman back in season 47, averaged 2 minutes 8 through first 14 and finished the season with 2:08. So almost literally to the decimal point, 0.2% increase from first 14 through the rest of the year. For Sarah, of course, was brought back for a second featured year, promoted, still in the cast. So that's a case of someone being just consistent of their rookie year. Big cast then. So you're going to see some of these numbers that might make sense of who they were going up against. Was it, Beck, Kyle, Moffat, Melissa, 80, Cecily, all these greats, Kate McKinnon still there. So versus now, so you might see somebody that I would declare Danger Watch on, Bill. So, sound the siren again. Tommy Brennan and Cam Patterson. When we look at power rankings at the end, it's a little bit more of a fair stat because it does measure impact versus just raw screen time. But let's look at what the numbers say. So 2 minutes, 33 seconds for Tommy so far. That's average, and 1:50 for Cam. I did columns of that percentage change for the rest of the year. Those, of course, are to be determined. And then the results of the second season. So let's look at people that were rookie years that had similar to Cam Patterson, at least, and what ended up happening with them. We got to start at the bottom, of course. Season 47 with Sarah and Jadge was Aristotle, who had 56 seconds, ended up with a 47-second average by the end of the year. His screen time actually went down, even though it was under a minute. not brought back. Other end was our friend Punky Johnson, a minute 4 through her first 14 episodes, ended up with a minute 19 after season 46. So her screen time bumped up 24%. And Lauren and everybody at SNL said, yeah, let's bring Punky back for a season 2. So she is the yes at the bottom here. Next up is Luke Null, a minute 13 through his first 14 episodes, and no change at all, a minute 13 to finish, not brought back. That's a one-season wonder. Lauren Holt is next, a minute 19. Her screen time dipped in the final run a little bit, down to a minute 17, not brought back. Then it's Dismukes and Molly and Chloe. These are all rookies that had pretty low numbers and a pretty competitive cast, but they did all make improvements, Bill. So I think, especially from Molly, because remember they got an update at the very end, and that was a big push for them, I think. The writer's strike happened. Who knows what would have happened with Molly in those next couple episodes? Maybe they would have had another big piece again, but screen time went up 59.6%, and Molly brought back for a second season. Andrew Dismukes went up a little bit. Chloe Fein went up a little bit. Ega Wodam went up a little bit. They were all brought back for a second season and beyond. Cam Patterson, though, is the next on the list. I want to talk about Jane Wickline real quick, though, because I mentioned Sarah Sherman had that 2:08, kept the same. Jane Wickline also had 2 minutes, 8 seconds, identical screen time numbers to Sarah Sherman in her rookie year, and then bumped up 13% and brought back. And that might have been the biggest question mark going in the season, because if you look up higher in the list, you see Emil Wakim, 2 minutes 31, did make an improvement in the final stretch, not brought back. Chloe Trost, opposite story, 2 minutes 30, down 11% in the final run, not brought back. So that's two right there that are higher on the list for rookie numbers, but didn't get that second season. So what do you make of this, Bill?
There's a lot to take in. I can't believe Ego's number average was so low. I know that was a huge cast. So, but
only rookie in her year too.
Right, exactly. When you said before you showed me the power rankings, you asked me this question, and I kind of started thinking about it, and immediately the three names that came to me were Tommy, Jane, and Cam. Like, there's just, and of course, they're struggling. Like Jane has come on as of late. We've talked about that a lot. She struggled the first, before Christmas with some of the sketches she was in when she was getting on. But she had a couple good weeks, had some really incredible lines. And I think she had an okay week this week, but I don't know. I mean, that's one that you really have to wonder. Cam's getting one line in 2 sketches, and that's it. We're not getting any kind of idea of who he is. He had his couple update pieces early on, but that's it. We're not getting any kind of idea of what else he can do outside of his normal routine. So, and then Tommy is just one, I think, I don't know. I go back and forth on him because he's another one that we don't really have a full kind of spectrum of what he can do on the show. So, yeah, I mean, these numbers kind of bear out what's going to happen when you say Lauren Holt, Luke Null, and Aristotle. Those are 3 names of 3 people who really never found their place on the show. So, of course, they're really low on the list. Punky is the exception to that rule, and ended up having a pretty good career at the show and left of her own accord. So, yeah, I don't know. The numbers never lie, Mike. We always say, right?
Yeah, we're getting to that crunch time where that power ranking, it's really tough to climb out of the hole when you're in that 20s, 30s, 40s on the power ranking, taking consideration all the stats that I have. And then, the power ranking is too powerful, Bill. It just claims people left and right at the end of the year. So I wanted to at least give a preview, put on our helmets for Danger Watch, and just see what we can look for to reverse the curse. We can beat the computers, right, Bill? We can turn this all around, get in the time machine and fix fix some of these numbers maybe. But Tommy Brennan, if that is a one season wonder, we're talking about years from now, averaged 3 minutes 47 seconds in the first 6. Had a great episode, at least for a sketch with Nikki Glazer, the karaoke sketch. The next week with Glenn Powell, over 8.5 minutes for Tommy. So 3:47, that's a great average for rookie. Since that episode, so that's going from Melissa McCarthy all the way through Gosling, that's going months and months of the season, went down to a minute 39 average. So this is will be a story of in the new year, this cast member just completely fell off. So plenty of time for Tommy to bring it back up. But going into this year, this is another stand-up. Are they going to get sketch roles? I think Tommy's been decent when he's been called on, but does he have a voice? Is this a Brooks Wheelan or a John Milheiser, or kind of like, oh, that guy was fine, but like, did he have the excitement that a Bowen Yang had, or Ashley Padilla, or somebody who just you could put your finger on what you liked or even didn't like about them? And then with Cam Patterson, this is just, it's been a real big fall off after a promising end of the season or end of the year 2025 with Ariana Grande. He was back on Update that week, start of the new year on Update again in the Finn Wolfhard episode, and then had 252 with Tiana Taylor, a shutout with Skarsgård, a minute 56 Connor Story, a minute 8 with Gosling. So I did show those screen time numbers with this chart, so you can at least see the rookies there. Let's look at the top of the page just for fun, Bill. Veronika Slawikowska having the best rookie year I've recorded. So we're talking about Ashley Padilla a lot for good reason, but it seemed at the time when James Austin Johnson was playing Biden and playing Trump and was kind of everywhere his rookie year, that this is like the second coming of Phil Hartman or Dana Carvey, someone who can do impressions and exceed expectations in sketch. And so he had a 334 in those first 14 episodes. That was his average screen time. Veronika's at a 414. So this is like a crazy good rookie year. What do you think about Veronika?
Yeah, I mean, grabbing the reins of, knowing that there's less female cast members for these parts to go to, knowing that there's not somebody with Ego and Heidi having dominated so much over the last couple of years, who was, who's going to fill that void? Ashley's done that obviously a lot. Chloe's done that to an extent. Sarah being at the top, number 2, has done that. But Veronika, you can't just have 3 female roles. Like you got to have other places for these people to go. And Veronika has just, gone off on it. And I love to see it. I mean, she was, I think, the first rookie we saw in the first episode in that game show sketch. So right out of the gate, we saw her. And, the last few weeks, as you said, just incredible work, getting to show what she can do. But yeah, I love to see it. Yeah, as you said about the stand-ups, though, man, I mean, at some point, we're going to have to kind of look at the history of what's happened with the show and not finding a place for stand-ups. Like, they're just not finding, and that wasn't always the case. So what's happened in the last decade or so that has made it almost impossible for a stand-up to break through that glass ceiling and get to be a prominent part of the show?
Yeah, that'll be a chapter in the book, Bill, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, so looking at that 414, it's massive. Of course, that is definitely helped out by, as I mentioned, cast leading episode last week in the story, episode 1223, and now it's 642. So just put 2 of her best shows back to back, really get that average up. The average for all these rookies that you see on screen through first 14 episodes is 215. So if you want to put that there, that's right where Michael Longfellow was. And he had a little increase at the end too, went up 12%. He was brought back. Marcelo Hernandez went up 37%, brought back. Where's Devin Walker? Oh, there he is. 4.3% increase. He was actually had the most of that rookie class in 48 to start the year. And then, Marcelo kind of kept picking up steam in 49 and 50. So interesting to look at. I am glad you brought up Heidi and Ego. It's very easy to mention them, but I'm glad you did now because we're talking about Danger Watch and Cam and Tommy. Every time I say that, I think of like Pam and Tommy. Do you think that?
Now I do.
All right. No similarities whatsoever.
No.
Is if Mikey Day and Kenan had left, that would be 2 massive vet departures that would even eclipse Heidi and Ego, at least as far as tenure. So if Mikey Day and Kenan Thompson after 50 said goodbye, we could be having a much different discussion about Tommy Brennan and Cam Patterson as 2 male rookies with 2 male vets leaving, whereas seeing Heidi and Ego leave, we're seeing Ashley Padilla and Veronika really take off. So sometimes it can be just as simple as that.
Yeah.
So let's do 5 questions. Let's have some fun. All right. It's only you, Bill. So every question I'm going to go to you first. Is that okay?
That's fine.
All right. First question, I'm going to go to Bill. Question number one.
Me? No.
Yeah, you started getting into
Put
it.
me on the spot, Mike.
Yeah, I had to kind of pull the reins on you a little bit because of question one. But I need your thoughts on the passing notes sketch. I know that you enjoyed it, which is great. But was it okay with you that this was by design, maybe for this host, and they lean into it? Because that's one lane you could drive down. But would you ever want to see this sketch replicated with any other host? Or did it really excite you that much that we could do it again in 3 weeks? Or was this completely Gosling dependent?
Yeah, sorry for stepping on the first question by raving about this in the last segment.
It's okay. It's your first podcast.
I know. I'm new here. No, yeah. I mean, I'll say like this was just so exciting to see something so different, and there's more to say. It's not like I said everything. So, yeah, I think. I don't know. I would like to see this with another host that's not as giggly as Gosling, because I think that would have played into it a lot better too. You're going to break Gosling. That doesn't take any effort at all. So changing the notes on him, the highlight of this is really what Ashley's doing over here and how much she's breaking, because we haven't seen that. And like pulling out the spaghetti, like I'll remember that when we talk about season 51 highlights, her holding that spaghetti second lunch, like that's going to be one of those things that sticks with me. But yeah, I can imagine this, maybe not in 3 weeks, as SNL is apt to do sometimes, but pulling in a John Hamm who doesn't break, pulling in a Baldwin who doesn't break, and seeing them in a sketch like this. Now, is some of the novelty lost because they know what's happening? Probably, but I think that would be more interesting to see than with Gosling, because again, he's going to be laughing as soon as this comes out. Although his genuine laugh when he got the question about Barbie was just wonderful.
But I have to push back a little bit, because then would it not be funny? Like, I mean, if you get someone in the chat, BB2 Music said, imagine doing the sketch with someone like Adam Driver. And you said John Hamm or Baldwin. So if you have a host that is so good at not breaking, and it's just classic sketch comedy, are the notes that they read going to be funny enough on their own? Or is this completely because we all know it's going to happen? And so I'll give you my 2 cents. I have been thinking about this a lot, but I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I liked it. I don't want to be some, non-progressive yelling at cloud old man SNL fan, as I just turned 33 years old. But doing this on-screen Chiron, this disclaimer, it did make me want to like wash off after. Like I did want to like wash my hands, put on some deodorant. It did stink to me a little bit, because it felt like I could hear non-SNL fans who go, oh yeah, I love SNL. I love how every week like they do the joke swap. And you just know, like, oh, that's the thing they do maybe once or twice a year. And it is great. I love the joke swap. But in that format, Jost and Shay are being Jost and Shay, and they actually have a relationship. They actually are friends and coworkers who've been doing this so long that seeing their rivalry of getting the other person to read this joke is so organic, so beautiful, so original. This was, I guess, no longer a sketch, but maybe a prank. I think someone did mention that in the roundtable. That was like more of a prank. So I am very torn. Did I laugh? Did I have fun? I did. I'm not a miserable old guy, but I don't know if I liked it. What do you think, Bill?
Wow. Well, I mean, 33, man. Come on. You're far from being the old man yelling at clouds. I'm far from that, and I'm much older than you. I get where you're coming from, and that's why I don't think I'd want to see it a lot. And my pushback to your pushback would be like trying to make someone like Baldwin or Driver break would be part of the fun to me. Like they're not going to hold it together by that third time. If you start bringing out the hard questions, bringing out the hard things on those notes, that would make them laugh. They know these people better than anyone when they come into host. They know what's going to make them break, probably from, the writers' meetings and pitch meetings and things like that. So I think that would work in that regard. I'm not a huge fan of breaking overall. I've said that before. There are certain times, obviously the Heidi one stands out as one of those things that was just so beautifully done for someone who doesn't break a lot. I think because we haven't seen Ashley break, that was a lot of fun to see, even though she's only in her second year. So I don't know. I get where you're coming from. I do, because is it a fully formed sketch when all you're doing is, A to B, A to B? Yeah, there's something lost there. But I think the fun of getting something, as I said at the beginning, so unique to SNL that we have not seen, that's great to be able to find a new lane this far in the game.
I'm on board with that for sure. I think that trying new things, I did a whole question last week about the ice skating sketch and having that set, and diversity of scenery, diversity of setting is exciting to me. And when they have a new camera angle, or they go backstage and find a new room to go in, like, I love making that playground as vast as possible. Seeing Sarah Sherman outside doing the weather by 30 Rock was so much fun for me. So those things I'm all for, and I'm not even against this. I just don't know if we could do this again for a long time. But it's risk reward, like you said. If it's Adam Driver and the third note gets him and the whole crowd is laughing with him, I'm not gonna poo on the fun. But the sketch has to. The beauty of the Heidi Gardner was we were all Heidi in that moment,
right?
Where Ashley and Ryan, they were like being tricked. Like, we were not them. We were almost the pranksters, because we saw the screen that said these were changed.
Don't be a Stifferson, Mike.
I'm trying.
No, I mean, yes, but part of that also was, as we found out later, that Mikey had changed part of his costume. So that was what made Heidi break. So there is.
Well, how would you feel if it said Mikey Day has altered the prosthetics on his butthead costume to get Heidi
that wouldn't have worked. No, you're right about that. But I mean, they released that the next day. Like, she's on the Today Show on Monday talking about how Mikey looked different from dress to air. So it's not like it was a state secret. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's just very interesting. And the Papyrus 2 online last time with Gosling, and now this is really just kind of breaking the form a little bit, and I'm all for that. We could do a show where there was no weekend update and there was something else, and I'd be like, oh, that was interesting. I hadn't seen that in a long time. So I'm all for trying to bend the rules here. Question 2, though, speaking of Gosling, in the SNN Top 50 Host Countdown, your boy Bill Kenney was there week to week with John, doing this countdown from the fan vote, from the podcaster vote. Bill, you ranked him at 37th, John at 32nd. He ended up finishing 17th. This is before season 50. So he had hosted in 49, and now he's hosted for a 4th time this season. So I want to ask you, did this episode move the needle either direction, maybe up or down, same?
I had him at 42. And if you want to see a visceral reaction from me, I was just so appalled that he had made it to 17, and it was all based on it. This is, put yourself in that time machine that, a couple months after Beavis and Butthead, and everybody's just raving about him. He's the new darling of recurring hosts coming back to the show. And but to see him ahead of people like ScarJo and Marty and Candace and Paul Rudd, like even contemporary ones. Yeah, people don't remember Eric Idle as much, and they don't remember, Michael Palin. But like, to have him ahead of people who had been on the show in recent years was kind of crazy to me, to see him this high. But yes,
clear recency bias.
Clear, easily. Absolutely. From one sketch, not even one episode, but one sketch. That all being said, yeah, I would move him up a little bit now. I think I would put him ahead of, as you're looking at my list, I think I'd have him ahead of Maya and Drew, and probably Brolin. I don't know that I have him ahead of Chappelle or Lindsay at this point, but he's proven himself. He doesn't excite me like when they announced Ham and Black last year. Obviously, part of that is that it had been so long. But those are guys, those are people that come back where I'm excited. Like, oh, they announced. Gosling doesn't give me that feeling. I don't know what it is. But once I settle in and watch the episode, I'm very happy to see him there. And he does fit well with the cast. He does do really well with these different scenarios and things like that. Breaking aside, I think he is one of the modern hosts that really fits the mold of what SNL is. So yes, I would move him up a little bit. He'd be somewhere in the mid 30s for me now.
Fair. Yeah, so maybe he would be around 37 as written in my copy here. So yeah, we have the host rankings as voted by you guys and the podcasters on the left, John's in the middle, and Bill's on the right. You can take a look right there. I think with Gosling, 4 times, nothing to shake a stick at. He's been there for a bunch of eras or not a bunch of eras, but a bunch of casts, I should say. And I talk about the Santa Baby sketch all the time. Like it lives in my head, very rent controlled. So I think that having moments like that in each episode, having Papyrus, having Beavis and Butthead in the 3rd episode, I don't know if there was a moment in this. And if you tell me it's the passing notes sketch, I guess I'd be disappointed because I did enjoy it, but it doesn't meet those, wow, like that. I'm going to want to rewatch that over and over again. Like I have rewatched Papyrus and Santa Baby a lot over the years, including this week, because I couldn't help myself and I wanted to just be in that world again. So for modern hosts, Ryan Gosling, I think, should be easily top 10. But for all-time hosts, that's a tough call. I don't think he would be in my top 30 personally.
Yeah, I mean, and this list was based on the names we were given. So I said at the time, he wouldn't have even been in my top 50 at that point. We were just going, John and I were using the rankings that we were given as far as people who were voted on. But yeah, I think he probably, given every host in the history of SNL, I think he'd probably break my top 50 now. But
yeah, top 50, I think is definitely fair to everybody. Question number 3. Veronika and Ashley mentioned at the Danger Watch segment about how good they've done in their rookie and sophomore years. When they were chosen as the 2 women in the Cyclops sketch, I kind of felt like a little bit, this is an overused colloquialism on this show and others, but passing the torch a little bit. Like, how come it wasn't Sarah and Chloe? How come it wasn't the vets? We saw Mikey and Kenan, the 2 vet men, have outstanding stat nights. And then we see Ashley and Veronika, who have been super hot as of late and basically all season, in that sketch with a veteran host, with Mikey and Kenan as the other 2 performers in that sketch. So can you think of other moments in your watching history that we either a sketch or maybe some turning point that you felt that, oh, this cast is kind of belongs to them now?
There's certain moments, and I kind of go to a lot of recurring sketches. So like I think about Mike Myers coming into that second Golden Era cast and doing Wayne's World in his 4th episode. He wasn't taking the show over at that point, but that was, giving that kind of vote of confidence to somebody who was new to the show was something. Billy Murray coming in and doing Shower Mike, having all the pressure of the first cast member ever to leave, and Chevy Chase coming in and not really finding his niche until 10, 12 episodes in. And in more recent times, I mean, Kate coming into those last few episodes while Kristen was getting ready to leave, and in her first episode doing Penelope Cruz with Sofia Vergara, and getting like feeling a little bit better about the fact that we were about to lose one of the all-time greats in Kristen. So those are just a couple examples of people. I don't know about the passing of the torch per se, but I think those are moments where you can see like the show's going to be fine. Every time you want to be nervous about people leaving, nobody was more upset about Heidi leaving than I was. But getting to see, I mean, every week we talk about Ashley, like how incredible she has been all year long. I'm not surprised they gave this to her. And this was a genuine moment of breaking too, which I really enjoyed.
Same.
Although I think they said on the Hot Take show that, you know, it would have been great to see what was happening kind of out of our peripheral vision with what was making her laugh as hard as it was, besides, you know, Ryan coming at her so much and calling her his wife. But she was fantastic, and so was Veronika. So it is great to see that moment there. You got to believe that Chloe, if she's not leaving, she's getting close to the end. She's you know, very popular outside of the SNL world, kind of like Bowen. So at some point she's going to be leaving. So you have to think like these are going to be the two women who lead us into the next generation.
I did a side-by-side on last week's By the Numbers of the Chloe and Veronika trajectory. And, you know, it says nothing good or bad about either of them, that Veronica's had a much cleaner, clearer path to where she is than Chloe Fineman did, for reasons I mentioned earlier about the competition that Chloe Fineman faced and the adversity in the tumultuous nature of the show in 45 and 46. But there's been a lot of similarities, and now when we see them both in the show that week, of course, Veronika leading the cast with no Chloe in the building makes sense. Now they're both there. I mean, Bill, do I have to mention Wally Pipp again?
I love when you mentioned Wally Pipp. Come on, that's great.
Yeah, maybe people Google Wally Pipp, and then that's really a side quest of this podcast.
And then they go, "Oh, that guy that died from Lou Gehrig's disease. How did he not see that coming?" Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, Wally Pipp takes a day off, and Lou Gehrig starts, and then he doesn't miss a game for how many games? I don't know. I feel like I memorized
2,130. Yeah.
Okay, that's why you're on the show. So people can look at that and say, okay, you know, Chloe Fineman went to an art show or something, and then Veronika led the cast and Ollie for the women, but beat out Jost and Kenan and Mikey and even Ashley. And then the next week we have 6 minutes 42 seconds for Veronika and 2 minutes 2 for Chloe. I don't know. People are starting to murmur. Let's move on. Let's look at the Bill, you really liked seeing Harry Styles, right? A week early. How did you feel about that?
I did. I fangirled out. Yeah, I was you know, I loved seeing Harry back in the building. So that was pretty interesting to see somebody come in the week before they host. Not something we've seen a lot. Our amazing social media team put up the last three instances, which were Baldwin in season 42, Defoe in 47, and Gosling himself in 49.
I love the Defoe one.
So
that
great.
Was so good.
Yeah. Do you know how many times in history that this has happened on SNL where the next week's host was on the previous episode?
This might be a little in the weeds, but are all these instances week to week, or would it include like a break, like the Olympic break, if we saw, like, you know?
There was one big break between episodes, but other than that,
I didn't know if it was always mentioned. Like, I know Alec Baldwin was on the show every week as Trump, and then he hosted and still did Trump that week.
Right.
So I'm no surprise that Alec Baldwin's in the building and then he hosts. Of course, that happens. So yeah, just kind of gauging that, because the Gosling one was fun because of the 5 timers jacket, and the Willem Dafoe one, just like, you know, I fell out of my seat for. I'm guessing it's not going to be a high number. I'm going to go with my lucky number. I'm going to go with it's happened 8 times.
So close. This was the 9th time it happened.
Okay.
So chat, join in if you know. I've seen a couple of people mention, and there's one very famous one that happened in the very first episode with Paul Simon coming next week. I'll be on, blah, blah, blah. But what are the other ones? And they all happened really early in the show. Like, this was not something before that season 42 with Baldwin. It had not happened in a very, very long time, in decades.
Oh, damn. Counting that Paul Simon one really is a mind fuck, because I remember that episode, it's like an advertisement. It's kind of like the Thursday promo now. He's like, you know, hi, I'm Paul Simon, and I'll be here with some friends next week. And you're like, what even is the show? Was it in season 1? I think I know the season 1 episode is pretty good. You can give me a hint if it's a season 1 episode.
There's one other one in season 1.
Is it like Robert Klein or Lily Tomlin, or like someone who's like a stand-up?
Nope.
Okay. Is it a comedic person? Like, is it Buck Henry or Elliot Gould or something?
You got it, Buck Henry. So season 1, episode 20, he comes in the Diane Cannon episode to, again, with next week, I'll be here, and he does that with Gilda and Lorraine. The next time it happens is season 3.
Okay, I can't guess all these.
Okay,
here.
I don't know. That's fine. No, if
is it Steve
you
Martin?
want me to run down the list?
Is it Steve Martin or Michael Palin or something?
It is not.
Okay, who is
it's Buck Henry again?
For the finale.
No, for the anyone can host.
Oh, okay.
So he's there
Buck
to kind
Henry,
of.
This is season 3, so this is like they had the Mary Kay place, then they had the anyone you can host.
This was Ray Charles. This was Ray Charles' episode. So he comes in and says, next week we're going to introduce. Buck basically ends up on like 3 out of 4 episodes because of this. But yeah. And then there's one other one in the original era that happens. And this is the long break. So it happens in December of 79. And the episode they host is not until late January. Terry Garr in Java Junkie. Not there to promote her hosting the next episode. She's there to do that. And one other time, Mike, it happened in the 80s. Anything that happens in the 80s didn't really happen. But this was the only other time in the history. They went 33 years without doing this prior to Baldwin. Any guesses? I'll give you the season. Season 9.
Okay, like the whole decade. I have no idea.
Billy Crystal comes in the Barry Bostwick episode, going back to the next week. I'll be here to host, and he also does the Saturday Night News segment, the original SNN, as Fernando that week. So,
and was that the one that had a bunch of hosts? It was like Don Novello was there.
It was the one with Ed Koch,
Edwin Newman.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I guess this was maybe a little bit of a finale or a momentous occasion thing, but now it's just, I thought it was fun. The hook was fun. It was like Harry Styles is stealing the spotlight, but is not even trying. That's because the Will Ferrell did this in his monologue with like Ryan Reynolds, right? So,
right.
Which I guess took a little steam off this because it's Will Ferrell, of course. He's like such a pro. He's back at SNL. He's an alumni. And then it's like, oh, I can't focus. It's like, is that Ryan Reynolds? So
I think the beauty of this is that these are two very attractive men, very good looking men. Neither one of them has to worry about, and to have Gosling feel so insecure. John Snyder saying Eddie appeared the week before.
That would make sense.
But bump.
Called you out though.
But he didn't mention he was going to host, John. But yeah, so that's that. I found that so fascinating to see these two very attractive men. But Styles is like 1 and Gosling's 1A, I guess. And to have that insecurity among yourself as the camera cuts to him it was one of my favorite monologues in a very, very long time. I really enjoyed what they did with this here. And it made me excited. It made me a lot more excited for Styles because that's another one. Like his last episode, it was pretty good, but like,
it was fantastic. You're crazy.
Oh, I don't know, man. That was right before COVID, and like we were leading up to the Eddie episode.
Did you know it was coming?
I did. Yes, I was on. I was on the calls with the Department of Health. Yeah. No, but I mean, there's
buying up all the PPE and all the toilet paper.
I do. Yes, I did. That's season 45. I don't know. It's such a weird season, especially knowing what's coming now. So maybe I need to rewatch the Harry Styles episode this week.
Oh yeah, it's
I
fantastic.
am much, much more excited after that monologue to see him come in.
Well, quick 2 cents. I just love, I say it all the time, the warm and fuzzies of SNL. If I can just think that anyone is not just doing something for promotion or to get paid or to further their career, but they actually love the show that I love so much, it just makes me want to give them a big hug. So I like that Harry Styles or Willem Dafoe or anyone is like, hey, I'll hang out. I'll watch. Like, I know I would, but I'm an SNL fan, not an SNL host. So that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah. I think, obviously now we know how the show is made and that most of the time the host comes in on the Monday, but there is kind of that feeling, that old school feeling of they got to come in the week before to see how it all is put together, because they're nervous and that. So there's kind of that like semi joke behind the joke of them coming in a week early to learn the ropes.
I would love to see that as a sketch. That would be an excellent sketch. Is having, especially if it's legit, like Harry Styles is literally hosting on Saturday. But if they did a sketch about, hey, this is this is Harry, this is Ryan, like he's gonna shadow you. Like that would be a fun.
Like he works at an Applebee's, yeah, like
exactly. So that would be distracting, especially if it's funny because Gosling has been there and so is Harry, but it is really funny if it's like an A-list host coming in and being like, hey, like I just want to see how it all works.
Wearing a big trainee name tag, like, hi, my name is Harry. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I would like to see that as a sketch if you want to get it to 8th or 9th or 10th time, depending on what you count. But here's question 5. We want to quickly, I know we're up against it, but let's determine the likelihood of the next 5-timer, because we got another to join the 4-timers here. So really quick, it's Eric Idle, it's Michael Palin, Paul Simon, Ashton Kutcher, Dana Carvey, Lindsay Lohan, Cameron Diaz, Louis C.K., James Franco, Charles Barkley, Adam Driver, Michael Keaton, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, Jack Black, John Hamm, and now Ryan Gosling. So maybe we won't do all of them, but like maybe give me like a top 3 you think will join the 5-timers club, and we can determine who will be next to join it.
Well, we've really restocked the pantry the last year and a half, haven't we? Like,
yeah, we have.
I know before season 50, we're like, well, who's going to be a 5-timer? We only got Driver, really. But yeah, it's really interesting. I think there's like a few categories: too old, too problematic, and unlikely. And after that, there's probably 7 people that I think could host to come back. So
you didn't win any of those superlatives in high school, right?
I did not. No.
Okay, thank God. Have to end the show early.
Too old in high school? Yeah. I was the undercover cop in high school. So yeah, I had all these other jobs, Mike. I think 1 would be Hamm, 2 Driver, and 3 Chappelle, just because of the history of them bringing him back in election cycles.
Yeah, I think Gosling will be the easiest shoe-in for the 5-timer, but wouldn't be first because he literally hosted last week. So, I mean, Driver, I think, is due. He hosted at season 49 in December. So that could be, it's already been at least 2 years, kind of like Gosling. That could be one that if Driver hosts like the finale or something coming up, that would be exciting. That would be we get a 5-timer this season. We had Marty Short last year, one of the best 5-timer clubs. Cold opens, I think, ever. But, it didn't feel too much 5-timery after that for Marty. He wasn't in a ton of stuff. I guess I had his screen time percentage drop in one of the earlier segments. But so, yeah, Hamm, Driver, Gosling, and then, yeah, Chappelle. I could see Chappelle doing one more, maybe. He wouldn't get sick of it if it's like, okay, I'll join this elite club. If he cares about that at all. But there's always going to be a midterm or a general coming up every 2 years. So I could see that. That's a decent top 4. And then are we going to get it from Dana? What do you think?
I think they missed the opportunity. I mean, they really, talk about Baldwin being there and doing Trump every week and then finally hosting that same season. You had him in the building. Like, how did that not come to be in season 50 when you had him there week after week? You had this perfect opportunity. You're celebrating the 50th. You have one of the greatest cast members of all time in the building. Do I think it'll happen? No, but I would love to see that. He's one of my favorites. Or the other one I'd love to see, although they're too old, is Idle and Palin hosting together. Like, that would be great to get 2 pythons in the building together. Maybe bring Cleese in as well.
I think that top row, maybe this is a hot take, but that whole top row I think is the least likely, even more or less likely than Louis or Franco, because I think the tides have turned a little bit, and Louis is like, still has a great following and a fan base. So, and Lauren loves a controversial host. So also Louis was so good at hosting that it's such a shame that,
it really is.
That we might not get he didn't get the 5-timer before he's canceled, because if that were the case, then it's like, okay, well, good riddance to you. But yeah. So now it might never happen. But Lindsay Lohan, I thought maybe for the Freakier Friday or something like that, we could have got it. Her having a little bit of a comeback, and then Barkley doing his final season, right? With the Inside NBA. I don't know if if that show has been moved yet, and I don't know what the contract status of Chuck is, but I think Keaton is a no for me. Jack Black is a definite maybe. It had been so long, but he was so good the last time. And John Hamm, if he never hosts SNL again, that's a real problem. So then that leaves us with just Chris Rock and Cameron Diaz. What do you think about either of them?
I was surprised to see Rock come back for his fourth, to be honest, because he's had a little bit of a rough go when he hosts. He hosted the very first episode that we covered on SNL Stats, but he's not the strongest host, even though he's beloved and obviously an SNL alum. Cameron Diaz is an interesting one. Like, could that be a Sigourney Weaver type situation where they come back couple decades later and this elder stateswoman of the acting industry? I don't know. I mean, what's she doing these days? I don't know. I haven't heard much from Cameron.
I heard she retired from the industry. I don't know if that's still the case, but because if it is, then you put her up in the top row with Idol, Palin, Paul Simon, and Kutcher.
So you're saying we're not getting a something about Mary too?
Money talks, Bill. You never know. Maybe Green Book too. The Farrelly brothers, they can give her a call. Maybe she'll say yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I would love to get Forrest Whitaker to host in between Jack Black and John Hamm, just to get that Black Forest Ham run.
Wow.
Just going through after we got so close last year. And yeah, we'll see about Chappelle. But my real question is, man, we're just having too much fun. How many times can I say Bill in an episode? I just love talking to Bill.
Yeah.
All right.
Same
Talking about the Five Timers Club, does it get stronger the bigger it gets? We talked about diversity. Let's get some more women in there. Emma Stone joined the Five Timers Club. Or is it exclusivity kind of a defining thing? Like, should it happen once a year? Of course, we're looking at a list of people who are eligible now as four-timers, and we already eliminated like 5 or 6 of them. So it's not always going to happen, but there are more three-timers creeping up. And so does it get stronger or diluted as it gets bigger?
I think it gets stronger because you have to remember, and I know you know this, like those first 5 years, like Steve Martin was hosting 3 times in a year. Buck's coming back for every finale. He's hosting twice a year, twice a season. So no, I don't think it's diluted. Like if the show had continued on the way it was going in those early years, like we'd be talking about a 30-timer club, because that was just the way the show was built, with bringing people they were comfortable with constantly, multiple times a season. Now, are there people in the 5-timers club, much like Baseball Hall of Fame, that you're like, how did they get in? How did that happen? Yes, there are a couple in that group, but I think
like who? Like The Rock?
I think The Rock would be the first one I would point to. Yeah, I think especially his first time hosting was an abomination to the show. But yeah, most of this list, problematic people aside, is pretty strong with what they did on the show. So I wouldn't be opposed to most of these people coming back.
Ariana Grande, Amy Poehler, Chalamet, those are recent 3-timers that I could see getting to 5 as well.
Yeah.
Kristen Wiig could be up there. So the alums are easy to say. I mean, Jimmy Fallon's never too far away.
Kristen's in though.
Oh yeah, true. Kristen was with Emma Stone in that 5-timers. So there's a couple in the pipeline for sure that I could see. But that does it for 5 questions. Let's do a power ranking update after all this. Okay, season 51, episode 14. Here are the updated power rankings, taking 14 weeks of SNL, every data point, appearances, screen time, recurring characters, saying live from New York, prime time, all this stuff into one convenient average number. Ashley Padilla, head and shoulders above the rest at a 106.9. Just had her second best episode of the season, and it was a 168. That's how good she's doing. She had a 171 in week 3. That was the Sabrina one, I want to say. Sarah Sherman, number 2, 91.9. So Ashley, 107-ish. Sarah, 92-ish. So there's a 15-point spread between number 1 and number 2. So that's like, when they have the gold medal game and, there's the bronze game. It's like, okay, well, whoever can get this is going to get a medal. So Sarah's, she's going to medal for sure, but no one's going to take the gold from Ashley at this point unless something crazy happens. James Austin Johnson, number 3, 87.2. So there was that really tight tie with Chloe and Jadge going on, and now it's been separated a little bit. So he's 87.2. Chloe Fineman dropping down to 4, 85.7. Colin Jost with 2 big episodes in a row. He's at an 83.0 in the 5th spot. Mikey Day, 79.8, is up to number 6 with his best episode of the year, best episode in a long time. Andrew Dismukes falling down to 2 bad weeks in a row. What's going on with Dismukes? We try to, figure it out. I think he's going to come back strong with Harry this week, though. 73.1 for him in 7th. Kenan Thompson up to 8th, 70.3. So there could be those 70s right there. Mikey, Dismukes, and Kenan. That's very volatile. Anything could happen there. So I'm waiting to watch on that one. But then Marcelo, 9th, in danger of falling out of the top 10 with the rise of Veronika Slawikowska at 10th. He's at a 66.5. Veronika 63.6. Jeremy Culhane, 11th. He's the next rookie up, 48.4. So right there, we saw Veronika string 2 massive episodes together and has completely busted that gap wide open between her and all the other rookies. You can see that right there. Jeremy Culhane having a good season, but 48.4 versus a 63.6, not even close. Ben Marshall in 12th, 47.7. Michael Che in 13th, 46.5. Jane Wickline up to 14th, 45.2. Tommy Brennan down to 44.1. And still in 16th place is Cam Patterson, 31.0. So, Bill, I want to get your takes on these 3 gaps. 1, Ashley way above everyone in 1st. Then we have the huge drop-off between Veronika at 10th and everyone else below her. That's a 15-point jump as well. And then the jump at the bottom between Tommy and Cam, 44 to 31. So there's 3 chasms on the power rankings, where last year we saw it be neck and neck in every way.
Yeah, and going into that final week last year, was it 1st through 3rd that was really up for grabs, or 4th through 4th? This is over, right? I mean, Ashley is just dominating. Mike, you've been doing this for 6 years. You've gone back to 43, I think. Have you seen anything this far into the season, like this big of a gap between 1 and 2 that you can think of?
I don't think so. There's been seasons where we've seen multiple people averaging over 100.
Right.
So the recent SNL stats in season 50 and 49 were interesting because we saw everybody getting a little better, but the averages were a little bit lower. So we saw way more parity across the cast, but there wasn't that Kate McKinnon 108, 110, 120. We saw Kenan Thompson have a huge number a couple years ago, but there's always been kind of a 1 and 2, right? There's been a Kate and Kenan. There's been a Beck and Kate,
right?
Cecily, 80, who make it interesting. And Sarah Sherman's having an unbelievable year. James Austin Johnson, Chloe Fineman, Colin Jost having all 3 of their best seasons of their careers for the most part, and still can't touch Ashley Padilla.
Yeah, it's something to see, and we'll continue to sing her praises. But I think the gap between 10 and 11 is not really surprising, because when you look at somebody, you're only bringing 1 woman into the cast. You've lost 2 powerful women. So to see Veronika where she is, and to have all these guys who came into the cast outside of Jane, who were just joined, and Che, obviously, poor Che, but they're all kind of eating each other, right? There's so much competition between a Jeremy and a Ben and a Tommy and a Cam that it's not really surprising that there's so much gap between Veronika and 11, 12, 13. Cam, I mean, this is, danger watch, really. Like we've said it earlier, that's a huge gap to see. So, and as I said, only getting 1 or 2 lines when he is getting on screen. Still a little bit of time to pull that up, but I can't imagine him catching 15.
Yeah, Chloe Trost's power ranking was a 32.3. We see last year with a bunch of departures, see how the cast shook out, but that's That's a 31.0 is not great. But Devin Walker had a 35.5. So Chloe Trost, Devin Walker, one was a rookie, one was not, but they didn't come back and they had a higher power ranking than Cam. Emil Akeem, 41.4 he finished with in season 50. So a whole 10 points above Cam Patterson. So I'm really looking just for that last splash. I always say that SNL is a fleeting show. It's a revolving door show. I do root for everybody, but if you're going to be a one-season cast member, just give it all you got. Just I want to see you can be a somebody who's known for one thing. It's still better than most people.
Yeah,
who haven't been on SNL. You're at the party.
That's right. They're there and we're not. So there's that.
Absolutely.
It's really. I wonder what would Bowen's average be if you factored in 5 zeros now? Would he still be above all the rookies? It would have to think so, right? Because like that's
if we did what till now or to the end of the year?
Till now, just to keep it fair.
So if I did 5 zeros, Bowen would be a 52.4.
Okay. So he'd still be like just right outside of the top 10, missing
he'd
5
be
episodes.
at 11th place.
Yeah.
So Bowen Yang was an 81.5 in his 9 episodes. So he would sit still in the top 6. He'd be in 6th place right now if I did put him on the graph. But yeah, if I did all of Bowen just got shut out 5 weeks in a row, he'd still be doing better than 6 people.
My goodness. Yeah, that's wild.
Well, this has been a blast, Bill. As always, I want to thank LateNighter.com for being our presenting sponsor, and I want to thank you, Bill, for being back with me. Always so much fun. You just get me going.
Thanks, Mike. Same here. I always enjoy coming on with you. We have this fun friendship that we get to talk through this every week, and we both enjoy these numbers so much. And I'll be back on Saturday night, so make sure you check me out on the Hot Take Show. And I was on with our friends over the Not Ready for Primetime Project with one of their tournament talks. I was hosting it, so make sure that dropped yesterday. Make sure you drop that. Check that out.
So you're on the Hot Take Show for Harry?
I am. I get to fangirl about Harry again.
Are you a Harry Styles guy?
I'm okay. I mean, he's not JT level for me as far as former boy band guy who's made it on his own, but he's up there. I think he's very talented.
Yeah, everything is cyclical. We might see maybe Harry Styles could be a 5-timer. So it'd be another this generation's boy band turned solo turned SNL 5-timer. Short list, but could happen twice.
Could happen.
Well, thank you as always. We have a Hot Take Show right after the Harry Styles Double Duty show on Saturday night before the SNL break. Go to our Patreon. We have a newsletter written by Sammy K. You can access for free. And if you want to hear more from John and from Sammy, sign up for our season 31 rewatch pod, which is included on the Patreon. Just been really fun to go back 20 years. Like such a great season. And look at those hosts. Look at that cast. It's you had to be there, but you don't have to be because Sammy and John will take you there. So I highly recommend that. And then Roundtable on Monday and By the Numbers back next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. As always, thank you to the chat. Thank you, Bill. For the SNN, I am Mike Murray. We will see you next time.